As you know, here at Jay's Analysis, we do esoteric Hollywood. We've looked at esoterica in Hollywood for a long time. But I forgot to do From Hell. Many, many years now since From Hell came out. And I have been sitting on this one for a long time. And I'm glad I did, because usually when there's a film that I wait a long time to analyze, it ends up being a good thing, because there's things that I noticed later on down the road that I didn't catch had I done an analysis years before. So what blew me away this time was I noticed finally that this actually includes cannibalism. I never caught that. Did you ever catch that the Ian Holm character is a cannibal? It's implied very, very subtly in one of the scenes. Now, again, I'm not a huge graphic novel dude, so I haven't read extensively the canon of Alan Moore, self-professed Crowleyan devotee. Again, multiple big Hollywood blockbusters, and so we can see once again the influence of secret societies, the influence of cults, and in particular here sex cults in Hollywood. And From Hell is no exception. From Hell includes hellish, hell-like things. Wow. It was pretty gruesome. I didn't recall that this film was that gruesome, but going back and watching it, I kind of got yucked out a couple times. But if you're wanting to see a primary example of esoteric Hollywood and the occult in Hollywood, you can't really beat From Hell. So we've got Heather Graham playing this strumpet, this street strumpet, who is kind of the central figure who sees what's going on as a noble elite British dude has impregnated one of the street strumpets, and he's sired a child by this strumpet, and this cannot go on. This is a scandal for the royal family, and so the queen, we discover, has hired, through her secret intelligence service, a crew of street thugs and pimps to basically get rid of the whore and her circle who know about this illegitimate child from the prince. And in the midst of this, we find out that they're not just using street thugs to get rid of the hoes. They're actually employing a serial killer. And we find out later that this is the doctor played by Ian Holm, who is Jack the Ripper, right? And there's this quote, Jack the Ripper says, "I will be the maker of the 20th century," right? Now, what I also didn't realize had I done my analysis years before was the information that we see in Dave McGowan's work. So if you've read Program to Kill, then you know Dave McGowan has the thesis that psychopathic killers have at times been employed by powerful elites to do their bidding, right? So if you need a job done that's pretty nasty, why not hire a total lunatic psychopath to do the job? And in this case, the lunatic psychopath is actually portrayed, again, as a cannibal. Pretty amazing. So after what we've seen come out in the last few years and the news stories that I don't have to mention, you guys all know about this, how surprising is it that we would look back at these specimens of Hollywood blockbusters, these esoteric Hollywood specimens, and we would find this kind of stuff being latent in there. And so not only that, what is Jack the Ripper? He's a high-level Mason. Remember this? Yes. So Alan Moore intentionally puts all the Masonic imagery into the film right away. So we see that the police department, the British police, the detectives, they're all essentially run by high-level Freemasons, lords and so forth. And if you don't know, the institution of Freemasonry, there's a lot of, jibber jabber that relates to esoteric crap, but really, pragmatically speaking, Freemasonry was just the intelligence apparatus of the British Empire. That's the main way that it functioned. That was its main usage. So we can cut through a lot of the esoteric stuff and just get to its pragmatic use as a giant sort of intelligence network, trafficking in secrets, right? If you read the book Builders of Empire, which is a normal history treatise, that's what it talks about. So that is going on here on one level, and they're using this doctor that Ian Holm was playing, who is a surgeon, who is a precise cutter. Like, he can cut the heck out of some dang livers, and you don't even know what's going on. Like, he can slice up a liver, and we think, well, it's just like ritual murders, right? And then we find out, oh no, it's not just ritual murders. He's actually eating people. And that's made clear in the scene when he's cutting the steak, because he drops of blood into his his laudanum laced absinthe, right? And he's doing it in a ritual way. And it's actually Johnny Depp who discovers, as the roughly sort of Sherlock Holmes type character, who's also, tripping out on absinthe and laudanum to, in the astral realm, project and see who's committing these murders. That, he uses this kind of esoteric stuff to help him solve the murders, so that he can kind of see what's going on in the spiritual realm, so to speak, by Ian Holm's basically possessed actions, right? So you later find out that Ian Holm himself is pretty much possessed, right? There's a scene where his eyes go black, and we realize that he's engaging in very dark ritual magic that includes cannibalism. So I just wanted to bring this to the forefront, because all of this kind of dark stuff that you see in this film is actually kind of being promoted now on an exoteric level. So what was esoteric, and the reason why Jack the Ripper says that he would be, at the beginning of the film, the inaugurator, the father of the 20th century, is because it would be this brutal, bloody century that where man would himself basically be initiated into this high-level dark sorcery. So the inversion of the natural order, which you see here in this film, is exemplified in the character of Ian Holm, who's a doctor and a surgeon. And a doctor and a surgeon is supposed to be committed to saving lives, but in this case, he's actually committed to parasitically feeding on life itself. And he actually engages in ritual magic. In fact, if you recall, Johnny Depp discovers that the pattern of the murders is happening in a pentagram. And if you know about Freemasonry, then you know that there's a lot of mystical toponymy. There's symbolism that relates not just to, the Pythagorean realm or whatever, but there's symbolism that relates to geometry and geology, right? So they call it archaeometry, right? Like relating places to ley lines and all this kind of stuff. But they actually do take that stuff to a degree seriously. And you see that in the character of Ian Holm. And so even to the point where you get a reference to there's a scene where it says that the Jews, or Juwes, are the ones who will not be blamed for nothing. And this is, in the film, it's used as a kind of scapegoat to target the community, but actually the real Juwes or whatever is the Masons themselves. I think this was hinting at the idea of British Israelite theory. If you're not familiar with this is a theory that some British elite have held for a long time, that the lost tribes are actually the British tribes, or Anglo, Celt, whatever. I don't believe that this is true. I mean, I think it's kind of silly, but there are traditions, right, that the British monarchy, the British elite, are supposedly descend from these different groups. They're the real Jews. I think that's a bunch of nonsense, but it could be that that's what's being hinted at here, because in the film, it's referring to the Masons, right? The Masons are the real Juwes. So again, a lot of elements here that I didn't notice before that do come to the fore, and you notice very clearly when you watch this film many years later that it absolutely is all about ritual magic. It's about initiation into the dark side. And ironically, they try to leave it at the end like, it wasn't really the Masons that were behind this. Ian Holm was a rogue Mason. He was a bad guy, right? He was the bad apple, this kind of a thing. And they have this trial, right, where they put him on trial or whatever. But regardless, if you go back, it's a great specimen showing esoteric Hollywood And on many levels, ultimately, what does the Queen say? It shows not just the esoteric side, but also shows the espionage side of things. So you can actually get a good window into how British Secret Service is portrayed in the film, because the Queen actually says, well, yes, we did employ Ian Holm as our assassin to quiet the scandal and the controversy related to the prince siring an illegitimate child through the hoe, and his methods were gruesome, but he got the job done. So there you go. The amorality of geopolitics. So if you like this analysis of From Hell, thank you. Please like, share, comment below. I know there's going to be the people who say, you didn't really read the Alan Moore graphic novel. Yeah, I'm not a big graphic novel reader. I have Watchmen, and I think I have one of Alan Moore's other ones. But no, I don't typically sit and read graphic novels. If you want to do that, that's fine. I read real books. But I do love movies, and we do a lot of film analysis here at Jay's Analysis. So if you like this, you can always get, of course, my book, Esoteric Hollywood, 1 and 2 at my website, signed copies. So thank you for watching, and leave me a comment below if you like this, or if you have other elements that you noticed in the film. Perhaps there's things that you saw that I haven't seen. Let me know. You guys always come up with good details that I miss. So be sure to like and share it below. If you like this analysis, be sure to click subscribe and give me a thumbs up down below. Also, be sure to check out Jay's Analysis, and definitely click the bell down below to be sure you get the updates.